In yesterday's game against the Utah Jazz, the Los Angeles Lakers ended up being able to win. It was a game that ended in a 17-6 run by the Utah Jazz. Should not have been as close as it was. Utah had a final shot at the end of the game in which Maxi Kleber on the defensive side defended, ultimately forced a missed shot. And we're going to talk about him today because the guy had a phenomenal day on the defensive side for the Lakers. Of course, with Kleber out there, the Lakers kind of got into a small ball type of lineup situation as well. Ayton got hurt. We'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later on. Plus, there's an update coming out with Adou Thiero of the G League specifically. Maybe it's not an update, but we're going to talk about him a little bit later on. But let's just get right into this video. So everybody knows that Maxi Kleber looked good yesterday. And I'm not surprised, to be honest with you guys. You know, Kleber's a guy that I've watched over the course of his NBA career. And he's always kind of been solid. And it's never been his play on the court that's been an issue for teams. It's always been the fact that he's just not healthy enough, right? He gets hurt, he misses time. And for the first time, he's healthy with the Lakers. You know, Lakers made this move at the same time they brought in Luka. And he never played for the Lakers. And he was never healthy. And he's never able to get out there up until this season. And keep in mind, he didn't really have a off season given he was still technically rehabbing an injury. But he's back now and he looks good. And the thing is Maxi Kleber's not, he's not Giannis on the defensive side where he's going to block shots, but he's pretty good in terms of playing defense because he's smart. And, there's different types of talents in the NBA when it comes to being able to play defense. And with Kleber, we saw it yesterday on display. On this first play right here, Keyonte George is going to come around and get the handoff from Lauri Markkanen. And he's going to try to essentially drive. Doesn't really work right away. Kleber's in a pretty good spot. So George is going to reset. He's going to pull Maxi away from basically everybody else. And he wants this guy to have to cover him in space. Now on this play here, George is going to attack to the left. He's going to quickly change direction, ends up going inside. And look at how Maxi flips the hips. Look at the fluidity on this one and how he kind of takes the lane away. To me, that's such a great job with the hips, the footwork. Stays right in front of Keyonte George. He even avoids the contact on the Euro. And he contests the shot. And this one's going to be a forced missed shot. Now, this one's important right here to recognize because the very final play, it was once again a similar matchup. It was going to be Keyonte George against Maxi Kleber. And we'll look at that play a little bit later on. But this one right there to me, just a really impressive play by a guy that's 6'10". He's not really known for his defensive ability, but he can cover guys that are fast, right? This is something he's done in the past, so I'm not surprised he was able to defend the shot right there and just kind of stay all over Keyonte George. That was another really nice play. Luka was in a one-on-one situation. His man's going to drive, and this guy's smart enough to recognize that these are two easy points right here. He gets off of his guy. He's going to help Luka. He's going to contest the shot, and it's a forced miss right here. But of course, you do see there's no one else to kind of box out Kevin Love, who's going to end up tipping it in. Kevin Love does a great job on the offensive and defensive boards. And on this one here, he does a good job being kind of in the right place. But again, it's the awareness that this guy has. It's the understanding that, hey, instead of giving a guy 2 free points, let me contest, let me help, let me try to force a miss essentially, right? And Maxi Kleber did this multiple times yesterday. On this next one here, he's going to be going up against Filipowski, who's going to end up trying to drive on Maxi Kleber. And again, look at the footwork to stay in front of the offensive player here. At the same time, Kleber does not leave his feet. He doesn't get off the ground. He just stays right in front of Filipowski. And he doesn't even give up any sort of ground on this one as Filipowski's trying to bully his way into the basket. And again, he stops the drive, gets his hand up, and again, you force another miss. Maxi did a really nice job on the defensive side. It wasn't just those plays. There are multiple plays that I can continue to show you guys, which I'm not going to get into all of them and break them down, but you guys can see he did a really, really nice job being able to stay in front of guys, force missed shots. This is something that we should expect from Kleber. And another thing to kind of keep in mind, yesterday he only played 13 minutes, and he only had 2 shots, and he hit one of those 2 shots. So he hasn't really even shown us what he can do in terms of his 3-point shooting. But Maxi's a pretty good 3-point shooter. He's pretty consistent. And yesterday, the Lakers struggled when it came to field goal percentage and being able to score efficiently at least. And of course, I want to show you guys the final play of the game because this was by far the best play that Maxi made, given it won the Lakers this game. You're going to see Keyonte George is going to come around, take the ball from Lauri Markkanen. He's going to essentially get a handoff. And it almost looks like Keyonte George looks to shoot right then as soon as he gets the ball. But you see that Maxi's literally right on top of this. He has the left arm up. Keep in mind, George is a right-handed shooter. So George is going to end up running this even further down towards the baseline. And as he goes up for the shot, once again, Maxi's just all over this. And you're going to see him take away the shooting lane and just kind of getting in that shot area of Keontae George. And George even kind of like double clutches it almost. And you see that it's a forced missed shot by Maxi Kleber once again. To me, this guy is a very, very, very smart. And again, he's not like LeBron James athletic, right? So he is the type of player you're going to get, but you can also recognize that he only played like 13 minutes as well. So we'll see how the Lakers continue to fine tune their lineups. Yesterday, it wasn't a perfect game, right? The Lakers obviously only ended up winning by 2 points. They went on a 17-6 run, or the Lakers gave up a 17-6 run against Utah. Lauri Markkanen was, I think he had 20 points. 12 of his 20 came in the fourth. So the Lakers really gave up in a game that they should have probably won by a lot more than what the final score was. But, in 6 weeks from now, no one's going to care about this game because there's going to be so many more games. But what does matter is the fact that the Lakers got to win, right? And I think there's so many ways you can win a game. And if it's on the defensive side that you get that win, it's a great way to win. And of course, don't overlook the fact that this is the second game LeBron James just got back in. And I believe this is Maxi's maybe like fourth or fifth game. So they're still trying to figure out what's the best lineups as they kind of go forward. And of course, yesterday the Lakers had an injury to DeAndre Ayton, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. But with that injury, they had to make that change. Either Jackson Hayes has to play or Maxi Kleber has to play. And yesterday it was Kleber, who really hasn't played a whole lot up until the injury that Ayton had. And when he came in, the Lakers kind of started to go to like a small ball lineup almost. And it worked for them. I pulled up some of the lineups right here just so you guys can kind of see what it looked like for the Lakers. Some of their best lineups were basically small ball lineups. Their second and third best lineup actually had Maxi Kleber as like the 5. To me, that you can still count it as a small ball lineup given Maxi's not really going to be a guy that's going to be standing in the paint, right? He's more of like a stretch big, right? That can shoot threes. And, the second and third best lineup in terms of plus minus went to a small ball lineup. The only difference between these lineups is on this first one here, LeBron James is not in. And then on the second one, LeBron James is in, and they just swap it out for Austin Reeves. Now, keep in mind, it's not a lot of minutes for these lineups. 2.8 minutes here, 2.5 here. But again, to be +4 in those two different type of lineup situations, that's still positive for the Lakers. Maybe you go to these lineups for 7 minutes in this next game that's coming up. Another thing to just kind of note, the fifth best lineup they had in terms of the plus minus actually featured a lineup with LeBron James essentially at the 5. You had LeBron James, Marcus Smart, Luka Doncic, Rui Hachimura, and Austin Reeves out there. And they're +3 on the plus minus. And also, they scored some points in this one, right? They scored 7 points with those guys out there on the court. Again, maybe these are the lineups the Lakers will go to if DeAndre Ayton is out for an extended amount of time. But they did go to some small ball lineups yesterday, and it worked out for them. Now, of course, they still found a lot of success with guys like Jackson Hayes out there, right? Their best lineup yesterday included Jackson Hayes. But this lineup is also the lineup that's played a lot this season. LeBron hasn't played a whole lot this season. And but everybody else here has, right? Like Marcus Smart, Luka, Hachimura, Hayes, Reeves. These guys, the 5, have actually played together a lot this season. And they were +7 in the plus minus. They had 7 points as well. It was only 2 minutes. But, just kind of sticking to the small ball lineup and just kind of talking it through a little bit more. I'm not a huge fan of teams going like super small and then staying small because, we kind of found this out last year. The Lakers struggled when they got into the playoffs and they had to play a team that had a couple of big men. The Lakers were unable to rebound efficiently and effectively. They struggled to score points down in the paint. And, if you're a team like the Lakers that rely on shooters, if your shooters don't have success, you're going to struggle. And that too, like you're not going to have a lot of second chance opportunities if you're in a small ball situation. So I don't love going small, but I do like the fact that the Lakers, if they have to go to it, they can have success with it. And of course, the Lakers, I don't think will play small ball a whole lot as they kind of go forward. But it was interesting to kind of see. Now, yesterday, the Lakers only beat the Utah Jazz by 2 points. And I think people don't realize this when you look at that game. The Lakers had one of their worst games out there, like this entire season. Shooting wise, absolutely terrible. 26% from the 3-point line. They're 10 of 38. And then overall, they're 44.2%. Again, really poor shooting yesterday for the Lakers. And LeBron James actually talked about this a little bit.
LeBron said basically, who cares, keep shooting. I mean, like, you guys as a team have not shot the ball well at all yet this season.
It won't last. I'm not worried about it. We got too many good shooters. It won't last.
So what LeBron James just said, I could not agree more with than essentially what he just said, right? There's not going to be a lot of time the Lakers are going to struggle shooting the three-point shot. I don't expect them to shoot 26.3% from the three-point line all that often. And if you really think about this, LeBron James, Austin Reeves, Luka Doncic took 24 three-point shots. And they made 4 of those 24, which is wild to think. Another thing to kind of just keep in mind, if you're only going to hit 4 of 24 three-point shots, the difference of if you just hit another 4, right? If you went 8 of 24, you win this game a lot easier than I think how the Lakers ended up winning this, right? So bad shooting led to Utah being close and having an opportunity against the Lakers, but Utah's not good enough in a 7-game series to beat the Lakers, right? At least the team we saw yesterday is not good enough. And again, this was while the Lakers made mental mistakes and the Lakers kind of, almost lost this game themselves. So I think the Lakers will be okay as we kind of go forward. Obviously, we'll see with DeAndre Ayton and kind of how the knee goes. And I think it's a great segue to just talk a little bit about DeAndre Ayton. So he got hurt early on in the first half. He ended up, his knee hit another player's knee, and he was kind of limping a little bit. And right now, we don't have an official update on how long this will be. At some point today, we will get an update. And there's also a good chance as I'm editing the video or as I post the video, we'll get the update at that point. But it is interesting to say. So the official update is, and this is from Coach AJ Riddick, is that DeAndre Ayton had gotten hit on his leg in the first half, was kind of limping through it, and then he couldn't go in the second half. So this is not a situation where DeAndre Ayton got hit and then it's like, I need to go do x-rays right away. It's too much pain. I can't walk. It wasn't one of those situations. It was just more so of, I'm going to try to get out there, and of course I wasn't able to get out there, right? So I don't think the injury is going to be a long-term injury, which is good news in my opinion, but I'm sure we'll get some sort of update. Also, Austin Reeves talked a little bit about this as well, and he talked a little bit about how Maxi Kleber kind of filled in a little bit. Austin Reeves said, hey, I'm sure DeAndre Ayton's just frustrated because he wasn't able to continue. We obviously missed him. It was next man up mentality, and Maxi Kleber came in and changed the game, which is 100% fact, obviously, right? Maxi Kleber comes in, he has the success, right, that we kind of saw. Defensive side, offensive side, he was okay, but he really didn't shoot a lot of shots. And I think, if you don't shoot shots and you play good defense, you always have a role given. You can stretch the floor and you can shoot if that time kind of came over to you. But with DeAndre Ayton, let's just kind of monitor how this injury kind of ends up going. We know in the past, DeAndre's missed a lot of time. Right, he's missed a lot of time in the past. The Portland Trailblazers ended up just releasing this guy. Maybe some people felt, hey, there's just no trade value for a guy like Ayton who's hurt often. But for the Lakers, that kind of worked out. Hopefully, this is not a long-term injury. Hopefully, it's maybe 2 weeks at the most, if not even less. Maybe he's healthy in like 4 or 5 days. Who knows? We'll see what ends up happening. Let's wrap it up, man. There's another play that I want to kind of just wrap this up and talk about. That's going to be Adou Thiero, who has been going viral on social media because he's just shown some incredible athleticism during some of these games. And I watched the most recent game yesterday that these guys played in. And Adou Thiero, man, the athleticism is through the roof. You see this guy with some of these layups and just how it looks, right? How explosive he is, how it looks as he's kind of attacking the basket. He had a couple of dunks in the G League that have kind of went viral on Twitter as well. And look, he's not scoring like 40 points a game, right? But we know with Adou Thiero, his game isn't even on the offensive side, right? So right now he is averaging 15.5 points per game, 4 assists, 2.5 assists, 2 steals, which I think is the big one. And that's in 19.5 minutes per game. Adou Thiero is looking good. And again, it's not from the offensive side, which the Lakers don't need. It's the athleticism that this guy has. It's the ability to cut. It's the ability to go up and rebound potentially on the offensive side, which, if you guys think back to the game he actually played for the Lakers, I think it was 2 or 3 games back that Adou Thiero actually came in and played. remember, the guy had an offensive rebound that led to a Maxi Kleber 3. He also had, a couple of plays. I think it was one where he tipped it in, but it didn't count because Jackson Hayes ended up getting fouled. He had a rebound right before half as well. The guy made some plays for the Lakers. He helped on the defensive side. And I think for the Lakers, man, this is a guy you want to bring up sooner rather than later. But I also think the Lakers have to handle this smartly. For Adou Thiero to come and essentially be called up to the Lakers' actual official roster and actually play in games, I think the important part for the Lakers will be that he has to be fully healthy, ready to be able to play the extended minutes if that's what it is. And then the Lakers also, and I think this is a big one, the Lakers have to take some of these guys that might not play, like Jared Vanderbilt potentially, Dalton Connect potentially. Guys aren't playing anyways. But they need to package these guys up and trade them and bring in some assets. The Lakers don't have a lot of draft picks over the next couple of years. They don't have, there's certain positions they don't really have, although Adou Thiero might be the answer to some of those, right? Thiero, maybe not elite at shooting 3-point shots, but that's something he can develop. He is very athletic. He's an athletic 3. I think that's kind of what the Lakers need anyways. But I would also trade some of these other guys away if I'm Rob Pelinka, right? I think it's important that the second you bring in Thiero and say he's now the guy, and I know Vanderbilt and Connect don't play a whole lot for the Lakers, at least right now. There's still some value these guys have, and I think for the Lakers, you got to try to keep that value as high as you can. The moment Thiero essentially comes in, and maybe it's a Dalton Connect that ends up going down to the G League, right? It could happen. I would not be surprised. The value that he has is gone, right? Right now, he's still a first-round pick. He's still a guy that still has upside and potential. Again, if I'm the Los Angeles Lakers, you just got to make it work and potentially trade those guys to get the best value before you go to Thiero. And I don't think Thiero is going to come in like in 2 weeks and he's going to start dominating for the Lakers. I don't think that's realistic. But he is developing well, and I think the athleticism is something the Lakers can use. So we'll see what ends up happening, man. I hope you guys enjoy this video. I hope you guys will have a great day, and I will see you guys next time with another video.